everyone. Thank you all for joining me today. My name is Kathleen Levito, and I'll be your host for today's webinar titled, Where Will Your 401k Be When You Retire? Joining me today is Young Park, Relationship Manager for AAFMAA Wealth Management Trust. We will conclude this presentation with a question and answer series. If you have a question, please feel free to reach out to us by phone or email. This monthly webinar series is brought to you by AAFMAA Wealth Management Trust. Our vision is to ensure the financial security and independence of members of the armed forces community, active, retired, honorably discharged service members, and their families. We accomplish this by being the premier provider of financial planning, investment management, and trust services for all branches of the military. We are AAFMAA's trust company. AAFMAA stands for American Armed Forces Mutual Aid Association. AAFMAA, created in 1879, is the longest-standing not-for-profit association exclusively serving the military. We empower military families with affordable financial solutions. AAFMAA focuses exclusively on the needs of military families and provide innovative, personalized, and lifestyle-appropriate financial services. A key point that sets AAFMAA Wealth Management Trust apart from other companies is that we are a fiduciary. What that means is we have a legal obligation to act in your best interest and for your benefit. One important disclaimer before we begin this webinar. The information presented herein was compiled from sources believed to be reliable. This presentation is for general purposes and is furnished without responsibility for completeness or accuracy. It's general information and is not specific investment, legal, or tax advice for any individual. Do not rely on this presentation alone to guide your financial planning decisions. Since each individual situation is unique, your needs for financial services will differ. For individual advice, please contact us directly. We produce this webinar series in-house with our own professional staff as a service to our members and to help them better understand the resources that are available to them. I will now turn it over to Young to begin the presentation.
Thank you, Kathleen, and hello, everyone. In today's webinar, we will be discussing the following topics. We'll discuss the concept of the 401k and differences from an IRA plan. We'll also go over common best practice to maximize efficiency and performance. We'll also go over an example of setting goals. How much do I need in retirement? How much do I need to save? But first, let's go over why this is such an important topic. A recent survey conducted by Go Banking Rates found that Americans simply are not saving for retirement. Adding to this epidemic is that most private sector companies and employers are no longer offering pension plans as part of their overall employee benefits package. Instead, they have replaced the traditional pension plan with an employee contribution plans such as a 401k, TSP, 403b, 457bs, etc., which most Americans are simply not taking full advantage of. With the ever-changing Social Security landscape, inflation, lingering student debt, rising healthcare costs, we have to do our part to educate the public about the importance of savings for retirement and fundamental investment principles. I do always like to go over the difference in types of accounts and also the ways in which we save, just as a quick review. There is one obvious way of saving, one that my parents used to use. One can absolutely decide to save for their retirement in a coffee can if they wish, or under the mattress, or really a savings and or checking account. The only problem with that is that although it is accessible, it really does not provide any tax advantages or other growth options. Just like the picture shows, money can go in, but it will most likely stay stagnant and offer limited benefits or tax efficiencies. In contrast, one can decide to deposit money into a 401k or an IRA account. I depict a picture of a vehicle because these types of accounts offer certain barriers from the elements such as taxes. It has certain tax advantages that allow for not only tax deduction, but also tax deferral. Also, it offers protection from ourselves. Funds deposited into these accounts are intended for retirement, so any withdrawals before the age of 59 and a half can incur tax penalties. Moreover, with the funds deposited into these accounts, you are able to purchase and hold a certain investment position. I always like to envision these as the engine that moves the vehicle forward. You can purchase a mutual fund as your engine, or certain ETFs, or even bonds, or CDs. Based on your respective purchase, they each have historical returns that can either allow the account to grow faster or slower. One typically makes these decisions based on the level of fluctuations that they're comfortable with. But also going a little bit further, there are some key differences and similarities between an IRA and a 401k. Simply put, a 401k is the group retirement plan offered by your employer, whereas an IRA is a self-driven individual account. They both come in traditional and Roth formats. However, for an IRA, you're only allowed to deposit or contribute $5,500 or $6,500 if you're over 50 years old. And in IRAs, you can get them either through a bank, credit union, or from a brokerage institution, such as the Fidelity, Edward Jones. The biggest weakness of an IRA is the deposit contribution limit I just mentioned of $5,500 or $6,500. As we'll discuss in later slides, some of these limitations can impact your chance of success in saving adequate amounts to achieve retirement goals. Also, if your income is above certain limits, you're further limited in how much you can contribute or may not be able to contribute at all. In contrast, within a 401k, you are allowed to contribute deposit up to $18,500 or $24,500 if you're over 50 years old, typically direct from your paycheck. And most important distinction is the employer matching capabilities. Free money for just saving for retirement. Now, let's go over some best practices in managing your 401k. If your company is matching your contribution up to a certain point, contribute as much as you can until they stop. Employers may have wording such as, we will match 100% of the first 3% that you contribute and 50% of the next 3%. In this example, if you decide to contribute 6% of your salary, employers will add 4.5%. In this example, by just doing the amount that maximizes the match, you will contribute 10.5%. If your employer's matching options are lower, start where you can and work up to at least 10%. Of course, contributions all the way up to $18,500 or $24,500 would be fantastic, but not many individuals can. The 10% savings rule has been proven at best to position the investor for higher levels of success. Another best practice, most, if not all 401k plans provide mutual fund options that you can purchase with a deposited amount in your 401k account. Each mutual fund options carry their own respective risk characteristics. Traditionally, higher the risk, higher the reward. Understand how much risk and fluctuations and corresponding returns you're comfortable with. Also, look at how long it will be until you will need to start using your retirement account. This is your time horizon. Traditionally, investors with longer time horizon have had more success with managing higher levels of risk, other than ones with shorter time horizon. Once you select a mutual fund, we recommend you review on an annual basis. Performance of each chosen mutual fund after a given year can slide your portfolio in one direction or another on the risk spectrum. Failure to monitor and rebalance can cause your portfolio to fall outside of your risk tolerance or impact overall performance issues in the long run. Speaking of mutual funds, most 401k plans also offer index funds. These mutual funds usually follow a group of stocks found in an index. For For example, the S&P 500 index for large companies or the Russell 2000 index for small cap companies. Since they follow an index, they usually have lesser management within the fund, which means lower management fees and expenses. Most 401k plans also offer what are called target date mutual funds. These mutual funds actively manage and, as previously mentioned, automatically rebalance to your risk tolerance, but also attempt to match your time horizon. Due to this level of active management expenses tend to be higher. Studies, however, show that overall performance of such actively managed target date funds do not always guarantee better performance. Choose wisely. Also important to diversify through the index mutual funds described above. You'll most likely find an index fund for large cap companies, mid cap companies, small cap companies, and even international companies. Bond funds also provide an additional level of diversification, where its performance and returns show certain levels of non-correlation. These types of diversification strategies are fundamental in traditional risk management techniques. Also, with each annual pay raise, set up your 401k account to automatically increase your contribution. By synchronizing your annual contribution increases along with your salary increases, most individuals find less impact in their overall household budget management, as well as the best opportunity to surpass the traditional 10% contribution standard often set that we discussed earlier. Also, always consult and review your overall retirement strategy with your financial professional. We often find that individuals have 401k accounts from prior employers that they left behind that do not meet desired risk management strategies nor tolerance. Or sometimes you're able to maximize contribution limits and would like to make additional retirement planning strategies elsewhere. Or if you have risk management concerns with specific time horizons and or needs, your financial professional is able to consult you on best practices and strategies. Do, however, confirm that your financial professional is operating under the fiduciary standard and not just the suitability standard. So, another important step I want to make sure we go over is an example of setting goals and targets. If an individual is of a certain age with a certain time horizon, making a certain amount of income, how much does that individual need and how much should that individual save? What type of investment strategies should the individual use? Let's look at example of Jill. Jill is a 35-year-old professional earning $100,000 a year. Her 401k plan offered matches 4.5% of 6% contribution, total of 10.5%, or $10,500 annual contribution. Jill's desired retirement age is 66 years old, which is about 31 years away. We're going to assume a life expectancy of 85 years old. So she needs retirement income to last 19 years. And we're going to assume an average 8% growth on her investment allocation. And we're also going to assume that of the $100,000 a year she earns an income, she will need about 80% of that income in retirement to maintain her standard of living. We're also going to assume a 2% inflation, which is a very standard inflation rate historically. So given these parameters, how much does Jill need in retirement? Please keep in mind that in the best interest of time, we're using a very simple case scenario. Many of the cases we work with involve more complex scenarios that require additional consideration. This example is simply to illustrate that there is a mathematical way of achieving a desired goal and income projection. As stated above, we are assuming a conservative estimate of current income needed in retirement at 80% or $80,000. In 31 years, with a possible inflation rate of 2%, Jill will need $147,807 to maintain her standard of living and purchasing power. This, which is about $12,300 in monthly income. Assuming she is eligible for $3,500 in Social Security benefits at the age of 66, inflation adjusted, she would need to draw about $8,800 from her retirement income. For the Social Security benefits, we are assuming that the full retirement age currently set at 66 is constant. Okay. In order for her to draw the $8,800 a month, which is about $105,807 annually, until the life expectancy of 85, which is 19 years away, she will need a retirement savings of roughly $2,010,000. Typically, and especially in the military community, we also often find that 401k or TSP retirement accounts are not the primary savings source. We often find supplemental and or complementary income sources that can help the retirement plan be more successful. Okay. Now that we know how much she needs in retirement, how much does Jill need to save? As stated in previous slides, the above example is only to serve as a foundation behind the thinking process, where certain estimates and projections can be achieved. If Jill needs to save $2,010,000, how much does she need to save and how should she allocate her portfolio? With these projections, one can set forth a strategy toward retirement plan success. However, we must also note that after such strategy is set in place, individual investors must always ensure and review on a regular basis its performance, change in risk profile due to performance, and changes in life events and family needs. By contributing the 6% with a 4.5% match and possible 8% compounding growth for 31 years, there's a probability that the account value can exceed $1.7 million in our 401k account. This was a general calculation achieved by looking at a very generic calculators found either through apps or online. Okay. Yes, you will notice that between what Jill needs in retirement, over $2 million, and what she's projected to save, around $1.7 million, there is a gap of around $300,000. The intent of showing this gap in Jill's example is specifically to encourage investors to ask questions. There is an old saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. A ready student is one that has the right questions and one that is curious. It is important to recognize the development of customized questions that match individual investors and household needs is crucial in making sure the plan is a success. In going back to Jill's example, how much will annually increasing 401k contributions by 1% after her proposed annual pay raises yield? In addition, possible allocation options that can provide 8% or higher returns is typically an aggressive growth or growth models. What about a 10% return allocation? What would that look like? What if it doesn't generate 8%? What if it only generates 6%? How much of a shortfall will Jill have? What if Jill were to lose her job? What about a disability? How will these life events impact her plan? Now, it's not all doom and gloom. These are just samples of risk management questions. It's also important to list and question a perfect world scenario. What do I want my retirement to look like? Do I want to travel? Do I want to volunteer, spend time with my family? How much will I need? Forget $2 million, how much do I need to save if I want to accumulate $10 million? You'll notice that after you list and inventory your questions, answers are actually often easy to find. However, organizing them with a big picture in mind and taking action towards one's vision is the real challenge. This is where a comprehensive financial plan with a certified financial planner can serve to be a valuable investment. A customized and comprehensive financial plan not only allows one to stay organized, focused, and accountable towards the plan, but they can even include stress tests to make sure you're prepared for the unexpected. In conclusion, the employer-sponsored plan, such as a 401k and or TSP, are vital tools that can be utilized to help Americans save. It is often convenient to set up and user-friendly based on plan administration. Keeping track of performance, levels of diversification, and expense management can help increase possibility of success, no matter where you are in the process. If you do have questions and concerns regarding any previous 401k accounts from previous employers, we offer complimentary portfolio reviews to ensure that your overall retirement strategy is aligned and focused toward a common goal.
Thank you, Young. That was very informative. We did have a few questions come in during the presentation, so let's address those now. I've heard that for traditional IRAs, there is a provision that requires the account holder to start withdrawing from the account at age 70 and a half. Is that the same with 401ks?
Thank you, Kathleen, for that question. And yes, that is correct. At the age of 70 and a half, you will receive a notice called the required minimum distribution. A certain percentage of your accumulated value will need to be withdrawn and taxes paid as part of the income. The percent may vary, so best to consult your tax professional for confirmation. Also good to consult your financial advisor regarding best ways to withdraw and if any allocation changes are needed to ensure usage of the account is efficient as possible.
What about self-employed and or small business owners? How do we participate in a 401k?
Great question. There are a number of different retirement accounts available for small business owners. These include, but not limited to, solo 401k, another IRA called a SEP IRA, simple IRA, or even a KEO plan. Among the four options, most are designed so that you are not limited to the $5,500 or $6,500 contribution limit. However, in order to decide which account is best for you, you'll need to consider the size of your organization and or if you're willing to contribute to your employees' accounts as well. There are income limitations and each have different contribution limitations and rules. Again, best to contact your tax professional to see which type of account is best fit for your business. Once determined, a financial advisor or consultant can go over strategies that can help with meeting your individual retirement goals.
You mentioned income eligibility for IRA and the 401k. So if I make a certain amount, it impacts how much I can save for retirement?
Yes, that is correct. For traditional IRAs, and depending on how you file, single or married filing jointly, your income does have a factor in how much of your contribution can be used to deduct from your taxes. There are full deduction eligibilities, partial deductions, or even a no deduction option based on how much you make. In a Roth IRA, after a certain income level is achieved, you may not be able to contribute at all. You may not even have a Roth IRA. The income levels and requirements do change from time to time. So again, you have to consult your tax professional. But it is also worth noting that in a 401k, it does not typically have any of these income restrictions. Primary eligibility for your 401k and the contribution is the simple fact that you're employed by that organization. It does not matter how much you make. You can contribute up to $18,500 for less than 50-year-olds and $24,500 for over 50-year-olds.
Great, thank you, Young. If we didn't fully answer your question or you think of another question later, please reach out to us at wealthmanagement@afma.com. We'll go ahead and break here for now, but please don't hesitate to reach out to us for assistance whenever you need it. We do this every day for our military community, and it is our pleasure. This weekend, you'll receive a follow-up email with instructions on how to access a recording of this presentation. And you can always register for future webinars and review past webinars at afma.com/webinars. Speaking of future webinars, be sure to join us in a few weeks when our team at AAFMAA Life Insurance presents. If you found this presentation useful, we encourage you to please share it with your friends and family. Our membership grows stronger every year because you introduce those in your military community to AAFMAA. Thank you again to everyone listening for joining us today. Look forward to our next opportunity to assist you.